welcome back to another Reality Check VR video. Today we're going to jump right into a touch update because, I've been getting a lot of questions about the touch controllers and how to set up multiple sensors, and I figured it's about time to address some of those questions as best that I can. I am not working for Oculus. This is nothing official by any means. This is just what I've, figured out in my own, by myself in my own developments, and my own configurations here at home. So I've tried out a lot of different sensors, setups, whether it be just 1, 2, 3, or even 4. I've done the triangle setup. I've done 2 in front and 1 kind of in the corner. I've also done 4 where I've had 4 in all corners and, tried out different things like that. And I could say that, some have success more than others, but the software continually gets better. So a lot of the things that people are having issues with are continually going away as well. And depending on the motherboard that you have and the computer configuration that you have, you might have different problems. One thing we're going to say real quick, I have 2 actual Initech USB 3.0 cards that are actually on my computer. And real quick, let's just go ahead. There you go. So here, I just want to show you guys really quickly. This is actually the one right here that I bought. I have 2 of these on my computer, and what it does is it gives your computer more, spots for different bandwidth to go through if your motherboard supports it, as well as it, powers it differently because it has its own, power supply hooked up to it separately from the other motherboard power. So that could potentially solve a lot of the issues that you have if you're wanting to do sensors with multiple, extensions. Other than that, extension cables. Let's talk about extension cables real quick. Alright, here's one from Pluggable. I've never seen this one before. It looks like it'll probably work, but the one that I'm usually getting is the Cable Matters Super Speed USB 3.0 right here, $15.99, and of course you can get 2 of them together if you wish to put them both together, and that requires extra power, but you can do it no problem. So there's the cable that I get right there for the USB 3.0. As far as the HDMI, okay, I'm actually going to recommend the 10-foot monoprice HDMI cable because a lot of people's motherboards or graphics cards, the combination doesn't quite work with the 15-foot cable, and even myself, the 15-foot cable works, but I've noticed that after playing for a little bit of time, sometimes I do get a disconnect. So the 10-foot cable just gives me good signal all throughout without any disconnects at all. So there you go, right there, that one right there. Now that we've gone through the basic things that I'm using right now as far as cables and cards for my computer, there are different ways to set up your different games. And I'm just going to jump right into some questions. I've got a lot of different people sending me questions, and I've saved just a few of them. So let's just jump into one of those right now. One of the messages I have says, from Dirigius, it says, Caleb, fellow Rift user here. I've been seeing a lot of questions lately on the Rift camera, setup, bandwidth control limitations, and whatnot. There's a setup guide in the circulation unsure of the origin for 3 cameras that reports a concern of bandwidth and recommends splitting cameras between USB 3.0 and 2.0 ports. Since you've been doing 4-camera setup for a bit, do you have any advice on what you could share with the VR community? And yeah, Nate, exactly. If you are having problems with 3.0 and you don't have enough cards for it, you're going to have to use those 2.0 ports. I have noticed that, using the 3.0 and 2.0, from time to time I might get a slip or a judder, but it's nothing that's consistent or too bad if it's right. So that shouldn't be too much of a problem for the average person playing with three sensors. Another one from Brad here. It says, I'm sorry to bother you, Caleb, but I need some help. I got the Oculus Touch today, and I'm playing some Steam games and having some problems. I tried Ghost Town, Mine, Ride, and Shooting Gallery, and when I start my game, my head is at the floor level, not at standing level. Most of my games I tried play out at my left, or start out to my left and not in front of me. I lose tracking a lot with the 2-sensor setup and room scale games. My sensors are both in front of me, and I was thinking I should get a USB extender and put the sensors catty-corner from each other. Seem to have a decent amount of knowledge, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so yeah, basically, Brad, the thing that you're going to want to do right away is you're going to want to go into your Steam VR and you're going to want to do room setup. And I think I've actually already messaged him, so we're good on that one. But if you have an Oculus and you got Oculus Touch and you've never really done Steam VR games and you're just jumping on Steam VR for the very first time, make sure you go in and do your Steam VR room setup, which actually I'm going to hopefully do here in just a second. Hank here says that he got all 4 sensors recognized, but when he's playing with the controllers, that he gets stuttering, about 20 to 25 frames per second stuttering. The headset works fine, he can look around 60 to 100, but the hands are not going so well, and he's got 2 of the cards as well. One thing I know, every once in a while I do have an issue with the hands kind of going slow on me, the frame rate dropping, whether it be transferring in Steam or not. When I restart my Oculus, that actually fixes the problem for me. So I would say if the problem's continuing for you, what you would probably first want to do is just take all your sensors and put them, first put all 4 of them without any extenders on, and then put those in front of you. Try it out with 4 sensors with no extenders. See if you have any problems there. If you don't, obviously it's probably going to be one of those cables. If you do have problems, then switch to 3. See if there are problems. Switch to 2. Just kind of configure as best you can without extenders. Just direct hookups from your computer, starting with 2, 3, and 4 sensors. I also had somebody message messaged me previously about a sensor that they had that was bad, and basically the way that we figured that out was they weren't sure if it was the one that was behind them or bad, and I had them switch that one with the one that was in front of them, and all of a sudden it was really bad in front of them. So you knew that it was the sensor at that point. It wasn't, the cables. So it had sometimes you've just got to configure and find different creative ways to troubleshoot. Backsorn says, I'm still waiting for my Oculus Touch. So is the ceiling the best place for the most accurate setting? I believe so. The one sensor I have currently sits on the floor. When I have it, the Oculus RIft display on the corner, the counter, the flood is midway through my body when I touch the... I would say floor placement can be okay, but it's not going to give you optimal performance simply because it's going to be looking up in the field of view, is not going to be able to always see the sensors, especially when you're, lifting the controller. When I'm taking this controller and I'm lifting it up like this, the lights are right here. They're, the infrared lights are all around this guy. So if you're sitting there and you got a sensor that's on the ground and you're picking this thing up, I mean, he's seeing the bottom edge of this guy right here, and he can't very well track it that, great at all. It's much better to have a sensor above you looking down, because, the more you pick this guy up, the more they're seeing the actual sensor, and the more you move this around, you can see at all times from above me that's being seen. And even when I go to the ground, the top of it is being seen. So even when I'm going to the ground, the top's being seen. If I ever switch it over, that gets seen by above. And so it's just, I think, much better to have sensors above you. Okay, we've gone so far. We've answered some questions. We've gone over the cables. We've gone over the card. I'm going to show you guys, again, I've got this breakout cable right here. I know a lot of you guys have already seen it many times, but what I plug my Oculus into is exactly that. I've got that red mirror cable like we've shown. I've got the 10-foot one right there, and I've also got a USB 3.0 extender cable matters right there, and that is just in the sleeve. It's a very simple sleeve that you can get. You can get all kinds of different cable sleeves out there. I really would say that you just get whatever one looks the coolest to you. I even have a sleeve, and I'll just show you guys right now. Hey, since you're on this thing, I'm going to show you. I've got this sleeve right here. Yeah, and this is where all the cables that I have just go right in here, and they just all come together, and I think it looks really nice. You walk into the place like this. See, you walk into the place, and you're just like, cool, sensors. I don't see any cables. I don't see any cables at all. As I was saying, I wanted to show you guys some really cool stuff. So we're going to go ahead and look at the sensor mounts that I've been making here. So these sensor mounts have been, something I've been working on for a while. We've got some really cool ones. And yes, I'm going to be sending these out to the people that I told them I was going to be sending them to. Plus, I'm trying to make these available for purchase if possible, the cheapest possible way. So what I've done is actually kind of refined the original design to make it my own. It's just chopped up a bit to make it a little less plastic. I still, made sure it was usable and still strong enough to, not only hold the sensor long enough, but just two simple small screws in there. They don't even need a whole lot of grip to stay in and to be nice and snug. But once you've got those, you can simply just take the sensor in and out by just pulling it in and out the back. There's nothing keeping it in, so it's just very simple to do. And of course, there's very minimal screwing into the wall, so I just have to put some putty if I want to fix it. Alright, lastly, I've also got this new kind of sensor. So I've decided that this will be kind of a cheaper, easier option that you could buy this if you wanted to. It's got a spot for the cable, so the cable can just actually fit right in there. And as you can see, you can actually pitch it at different angles. So what's really cool about this one is it can sit up on the ceiling. If you wanted to, it can actually go on the ceiling, and it can pitch down like that, so you can put it straight up on the ceiling and it can have a cool effect like that. Or of course, it's meant more for if you want to put it up on the wall. So what I've done is I put a little bit of 3M tape on the back of it. Go ahead and take the 3M tape off of it right there. And just for demonstration purposes, let's say I had my room right here and I wanted to, put this, somewhere over here. So I would just take this and I could say, hey, I'll put it right there, and boom, it's good to go. No problem, good to go. And then I can take my cable and I can say, you go behind the TV. And this guy, of course, I can simply just twist the head of it so I can get it to face any direction that I need to. And there you are. So if you guys like that idea right there, I'm going to be printing some of those. I'll make sure I got some white ones as well as the cool yellow crystal ones. So that's a cool design right there. Not only does it hold it nice and easy, but I think it's just nice and minimal. And of course, if you want to take them down and move them, having a 3M tape on there, believe it or not, you can reuse it quite a bit of times. So, all right, lastly, we're going to do the setup now because we need to do an Oculus Touch setup and then maybe even a Steam VR setup. Let's do it as fast as we can. Okay, real quickly, I want to make sure you guys see these PDFs. If you jump into the setup, they actually have links to these through the setup, but a lot of people don't notice them, I've noticed. So you can actually see these PDFs right here. I'm just going to quickly run through it, but it talks about the experimental setups, whether you're doing a 3 or 4 sensor setup, and it shows, of course, USB 3, and a 2.0. You don't have to do that, but you can. Here's the thing that they show. They want 2 sensors in front, not one directly behind, but one actually kind of catty corner to either the right or the left of the room. Alright, once you've done that, it says over here you've got to do the reset tracker sensing. Make sure you actually go through the setup. It says ignore these things when they say they're wrong, ignore them. Lastly, the big thing that everybody messes up. This is it. This is huge right here. Pay attention. If you're doing a 3 sensor setup, when you're told to actually press the trigger, you don't want to press the trigger directly between the 2 front sensors. You want to press the trigger catty corner, in between the 3, okay? And there's kind of a reason for that. And so the software doesn't actually get confused on where you are in the world. It'll prevent a lot of those jumping and jittering things that people are experiencing. So make sure you simply just point it to the right of the 2 and click your trigger. And there's many ways. In the future, this is not going to be that way. Just relax. They're going to find ways to make it better. I think it's fine right now as far as they're doing great. It's going to get better and better. So just keep on looking at this kind of stuff. And the directions are out there. So people just kind of aren't even looking at directions when they're having issues. Not everybody, but of course, there are solutions out there. So just go and look at these PDFs if you need to. It just kind of explains how to run through everything with the 3 sensor setup if you need to. And like I said, they do have one for having a 2 sensor 360 setup as well. I said 4 earlier, but I guess they don't have one with 4. It's 2 and 3 right now. You can do it with 4 though. So here's the 2 sensor setup, and of course they show you, make sure you do it catty corner. So if you're supposed to sit there and press your trigger, make sure you don't do it at the sensors, do it directly where there is no sensor, and that will put you in a better position for, just having tracking, without having any issues. So there you go, there's the PDFs. Let's go ahead and jump into it right now. Gonna hit reset sensor tracking. It doesn't look like you have a touch controller connected. Okay, don't worry. We got our touch controllers connected, and we are doing a sensor communication test. All sensors are okay. All of my sensors are plugged into USB 3.0 ports, and 2 of them are plugged into the Cable Matters 3.0 sensors. 2 of them are just plugged in through 6-foot extenders. So here we go. Set up your Oculus sensors. Sensors work with your head. How tall are you? 6'3". Clear your space. All right. And we'll go ahead and clear my space. And next, stand up and place your sensors. 3 to 6 feet apart. Experimental 360 tracking. And like I said, I'm just gonna go back real quick. Right here. Learn more about the experimental 360 tracking. Click that. If you want to click that, it'll tell you where those PDFs are, and you'll have more information. It's great. It's a great thing. Set up sensor tracking. All right. I'm just gonna go ahead and click next to get started. Stand up, walk to the center of your play area, hold one touch controller at the eye level, and squeeze and hold the trigger for 2 seconds until the countdown is complete. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm just gonna take one. Here we go. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.5. Can't see touch controller, huh? As you can see right now, we're having issues already, right? Can't see my touch controller, something's going wrong, people are freaking out. Let's just go ahead and do something real quick. I'm gonna show you. Hit skip. Hit skip. It's going to tell me to reset my view in VR. Watch this. It's telling me where I'm at in space. Cool, guys. Good job. Hit A. Cool, right? All right, no big deal. All right, so what I did was I just simply hit ignore. I did not do the setup properly, and this happens, I think, because maybe I've got 4 sensors. This doesn't happen to everybody, but if it does happen, if you are having issues, simply just go through it and go ahead and go back into it. Now watch. Sensor communication test. Come on. Turn the radio on. It's Friday night and I won't be long. Come on, put the radio on. Till I talk the phone, hit the phone, I'm on my knee. Oh, look at that. Oh, and it's working this time. My goodness. Are you freaking kidding me? So, as I was trying to show you guys before, it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't work, but what I've noticed is that as long as you go through and do the setup at least one time where you let it track itself, it'll then pop up. So if you had 3 sensors, you would not want to do it right there in between. You'd want to go catty corner. Since I have 4 sensors like this, I would go right in between 2 of them, right? Yeah, you'd think that would be right, but then I should go off to the third. Okay, for my experimental setup, I'm actually going to try to do mine right there in between the 4 sensors and see how that works. And as you can see, we have tracking. I'll grab my other one here. We can see this is working. Tracking is working. No problem. People talk about going around your room, right? Going around my room, going around my room, going around my room, going around my room. Yeah! Alright, and then I can also go on the ground. Take the controllers to the ground. On the ground, on the ground, on the ground, on the ground. You can see it all being tracked on the ground. No issues. No issues on the ground whatsoever. No issues tracking anywhere on the ground. I can be anywhere on the ground and they're tracked. See? Come on, guys. Seriously? Okay. Successfully configured more than 2. Click next. Set up your Guardian system. Okay, I'm just going to do this very, very quickly. So I'm just going to go around my wall. Go over here. Go here. Go here. Okay. Is that big enough area for you guys? Is that a big enough area for you? Is it big enough? It's huge. It's freaking huge. It's a huge area. Are you kidding me? I'm just letting you know it's a lot bigger than what you need and then the average person has, whether it's for HTC Vive or Oculus. This area is huge. It's huge, and it can get a lot bigger than what I have. It can actually be bigger than what I have. I promise you that. We'll have to do some more tests later on exactly how big it can get, but I promise you it's not nearly full capacity yet. I'll show you guys one more time. Home and hider. You're gonna see what I see here. All right, so you can see right now I've got my hands and I've got my sensors, and sometimes they jump around in this screen. This is where they find themselves. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the trigger button. Ooh, it moved me down quite a bit. There we go. So you'll see they might move a little bit. This is the area where they should be moving. I'm gonna hit it one more time just to make sure. All right, cool, cool, and hit A. All right, so here I am in Oculus Home, and I have everything currently working just fine. Got my friends list, my hands, my touch capacity. I got my avatar. It's looking great. Of course, I've got full room scale where I can actually walk around my room and do whatever I need to. I've got all the space that I could possibly ever want. So, okay, that's what I just want to show you guys. There is the touch setup. Woo! Woo! Understand there are all kinds of different methods and things to do for configurations, but be sure that if you're having trouble, there's a way to solve it out there. And if not, I'm more than happy to try to find a solution for you. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys very soon in some videos in the future, and get ready for some development stuff coming very soon. So all right, later guys, bye.